Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Wow, what a captivating game, guys. I know we should be playing better. I know, but winning in the 96th minute is absolutely insane. I needed that. You needed that. We all needed that. The crowd was buzzing, was dancing, was jumping after that. And guys, we know Napoli should be playing better. We know, but it's just step one is just to get a win. It's just to get a win, guys. And now that we have that, at least we have that, right? And then we can move forward. And what a way to win, guys. 96th minute. I loved the determination from the players to keep going, never give up. The way they celebrated that winner. It's exactly what the crowd wanted, guys. This is what the crowd had asked the players before the game. They said, whoever does not want to be here, say goodbye with dignity. We only want players that have pride, ambition, and respect for the city. And that's exactly what these Napoli players today showed by getting a win in the 96th minute. And I'm just so happy, guys. I'm just so happy. I couldn't believe it when the ball went in. When Kvara had missed that chance in the 92nd, 93rd minute, it just felt like Napoli Empoli all over again. And then instead, it's us that gets a scrappy goal. And honestly, guys, that was just incredible. It was just incredible. Unbelievable win. Honestly, shocking, guys. I can't believe we scored not just one, but two goals. This team had not scored for 4 games. The first goal, I couldn't even celebrate. I didn't know what to do. My body didn't know what to do. It didn't know how to celebrate a goal anymore. And then in the second goal, it was just liberation, guys, because these games, these Napoli games, as bad as they are so captivating because you're scratching your head wondering what is going on, what's gonna happen. You're on edge. You don't know if you're gonna draw, if you're gonna lose, if you're gonna win. As much as I loved winning last year, I find personally that this year's games just have me on the edge of my seat a lot more. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I just love the adrenaline rush, but there's something about it that makes me come back. And sometimes people ask me, "Oh, why do you bother with Napoli this season? Why do you watch every single game?" And it's for this reason. It's for this reason, guys. I'm just constantly. You never know, right? And it's sport to the maximum. As much as I loved winning last year, it was at times too predictable. At times last year, guys, it was the 20th minute, and yeah, I was happy, but I was bored because it was just so obvious that we were gonna win. We were already 2-3 nil up. Um, we need to find a balance. Obviously, we can't continue like this for forever. But I liked today's win, guys. Let me get some comments from you guys because that was incredible. But first, maybe let me put a poll. Do you think we deserved the win? Do you think we deserved the win? Yes or no? Guys, put it in the poll. Make sure that you are smashing the like button, guys. I appreciate you if you subscribe, if you smash the like button. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Um, Yeah, the Maximus is talking about Kvara getting suspended for that final kick that he gave to the ball. That was super that was you could tell that he didn't manage the emotion, the positive emotion, and it's something that Mazzari talked about during the game, before the game. Said, let's make sure that we don't get provoked, that we don't have reaction fouls and all that, because we had that a bit too much against Roma and against Torino. And this is kind of the opposite. It wasn't even provoked. It was just that um, we got carried away with the fact that we were winning against Salernitana, and It's a shame he's gonna miss Lazio, but I really love to see that these players actually cared. I really really love to see it that these players actually cared today. Um, can we get a tactic-free analysis? Yeah, to be honest, guys, this season I'm not doing much tactics. I was doing them more under Gattuso, to be honest, when I first started, and the first year with Spalletti. Then last year it was just so clearly like evident what we were doing. Napoli had such a consistent game plan that once you analyze them once, then that's kind of the same analysis every single game. And then this year it's just such a mess. It's just such a mess that it's impossible to keep up, and the game is so tight all the time that it's kind of hard to make the tactical analysis whilst I'm watching it. So we're more just commenting games this year. So it's a little bit different. Who cares, guys? Kvara had been pocketed by Lazio ever since that goal he scored against them in early last year. Guys, I don't think so. Like Kvara, as much as he's not scoring goals and assisting, he was like it today. Even though he didn't score, he didn't assist. He was the one creating chances, and I give him a pretty positive match rating, to be honest, because he was at least doing something right. And even if you miss, it still gives the team the sensation that maybe something will happen because you've got a player like Kvara in your team, and everybody knows on that team how good Kvara is. Demme at 5-2 winning headers, says Scoundrel. Guys, Demme is such an underrated player. It's absolutely incredible how underrated he is. I absolutely love Demme, guys. I'm gonna try to see if I can find one of the videos that I did on Demme like 2 years ago, where I was praising his contribution to this team. I'm gonna put it in the comments. Maybe you guys can take a look at some point, but I'm gonna put it there in the comments and I'm gonna highlight it. Take a look, guys, whenever you get the chance. This video is like 2 or 3 years old, but I analyzed Dembe in one of the games and just showed like what he can do, what he can bring to the team. So I know it's a live reaction video of a previous game, but just skip to the parts where I talk about Demme. And it's so clear that he's able to get into the box more than some of our other midfielders. Um, I don't know why so many managers have kind of overlooked him, but I always feel like he does bring something. Arsene Lubin says Demme played really well off the bench. Yeah, and he was maybe our best player against Frosinone. Then he gets subbed off and we lose 4-0. So I don't know. What is going on with Lindstrom? Why did we even buy him if he gets 0 minutes? Guys, Lindstrom now, it's two different coaches, Mazzarri and Garcia, that have given him 0 minutes. Even a guy like Zerbin is getting more playing time than Lindstrom, and that's kind of worrying. So either there's some kind of issue with him here in Naples. Maybe he's injured. Maybe he's having some kind of off the field issue. Uh, Maybe he's not adapting to the physicality of the Serie A, because guys, the Serie A is it's a tough league. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, go take a look at how Kvara gets treated against in the past few games. When the ball is on the other side of the field, Kvara gets kicked, his shirt gets pulled, he gets like there's so many different little fouls and different things like that. And then you look at Lindstrom, who's like this scrawny kid, um, maybe is not used to the foul play that Italian teams have, and it's kind of why I think it's so difficult for young players like 18, 19, 17 year olds to play in the Serie A, and why we see so little of them, because the bigger players, the older, more experienced players will eat these kids alive with those kind of little fouls like stepping on the foot and all this. And I think partly Lindstrom is maybe falling under that kind of category of a player that's not really adapting to all these kind of things. Possibly. Let's get some more. Let's get some more comments. Gusto says clutch. Yeah, it was super clutch, guys. 96th minute winner. I love that. Will Osimhen play the next games? No, he's in the African Cup of Nations for the next month, more or less. So he won't be playing. Zerbin looking like prime Messi, let's not exaggerate, but Zerbin did make an impact with that back heel assist to Kvara. And honestly, Mazzari was talking about some of the players that have played less, maybe not just this year, but last year as well. Guys like Zerbin, guys like them, who were part of the Scudetto team, but didn't get a chance to really prove themselves. They're guys that are coming off the bench and maybe giving something to this Napoli team. Not a lot of maybe technicality, but they want to win. They want to prove themselves, and also they want to showcase their talents because they didn't get a chance to do that last year. So they need to play well to attract different clubs and all that stuff. Whereas some of the other players maybe are a bit more relaxed under that sort of aspect. Hey guys, Forza Napoli sempre, says Anthony Navarro. Had to do errands this morning and didn't want to watch the game, but found out we actually won. Can someone help me out here? How did they do, and specifically my boy Joe Simeone? Guys, Joe Simeone was showing a lot of grinta, a lot of like fight, but and he won as the penalty. But I was kind of disappointed with him from a purely technical point of view. I feel like he could have done a bit better. So I don't know. I wasn't too impressed, and also I feel like this game here was the one where he should have really shown everybody that he deserves, without a doubt, to be a starter, and that means making a difference in a way like such as scoring or something like that, to the point that of course he's going to play the next game, right? I don't think he's made that big of an impact, and he's the one that had the most to prove today, and I don't think he really proved that. So it's a missed opportunity in my opinion from Joe. I don't think he played bad, but I definitely think it's a missed opportunity. Let's see some more comments. Controlled the game, mostly useless possession though, had trouble breaking the lines, but Cholito's the reason for the pen and he was giving 100%. The guy just works, he's got that dog in him. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. As I said, I wish he would give us maybe a bit more technical play sometimes. And also the 110% guys, a lot of the time he was making fouls. Like he's there fighting, trying to get the ball, and then he fouls the other guy. And so it's this kind of pointless grinta, you know. So yeah. Anyways, payment that guy. Thank you so much for the donation. Happy for the win, but I saw no improvement. Don't see us beat Lazio. We have no solutions up front. Mazzarri needs to go. I 100% agree with this comment in the fact that I'm happy for the win. I also saw, well, compared to the Torino game, I did see some improvements, but I didn't see any improvement compared to Monza. I think Monza was our best game, actually, under Mazzarri, with 6 very clear goal scoring chances. And I even made a video saying, hey, in this Monza game, we didn't play that different to how we played under Spalletti last season in games that were super tight. Then Torino game was super bad, and this game is kind of like an in between those two. So not great. I expected more. I expected an even better performance than against Monza. I really expected a convincing Napoli, a Napoli that would go out and maybe win 2-3-0 against Salernitana, and we weren't able to do that. So at this point, I agree that I don't expect us to beat Lazio. Our next game is actually against Fiorentina in the Super Cup in Riyadh, and I don't see us winning there. Um, so yeah, but in terms of Mazzarri needs to go, I I'm not too sure that there's another coach right now that's willing to come in. So I don't think Conte or Tudor or any of those guys are available. So if Mazzarri goes, like, who do you suggest that we get at this point? Isn't it just better to kind of like, go to the end of the season and then just from a clean slate do what we need to do? So that's my thoughts on that. Let's get to some more comments, guys. There's a lot of comments today. I hope to get every single one of them. Candreva scored a great goal. He always does against some of the big teams. Do you think we can win against Barcelona? I really hope so. Barcelona is not having the best season right now. It's too early to tell. We're still 1 month away from the first leg and 2 months from the second leg. So let's answer this question a bit later on. So yeah, Anthony was saying how he's a perfect striker after Osimhen leaves, and then we buy a 23-year-old that can get developed, and Simeone can play 65 minutes. We get the kid on until we see the potential. About Traore, this is in relation to Traore. Look, Traore was a good player for Sassuolo 2 years ago. Went to play for Bournemouth and hasn't played much. He's got malaria now, so I feel like he will be announced in the next few days, but he's not a player that's ready. I mean, this guy literally has malaria, like as we speak. So how ready can a guy be? He's definitely not gonna come in right off the bat. He hasn't played at all really for Bournemouth this season. Didn't play much last season. So we're buying a player that was decent 2 seasons ago, and not even for the entire season. He just picked up his form in the last 2 months or so, and hype was generated, but it's not like he was consistently performing. Definitely knows Raspadori, played with him with him in Sassuolo. But these are the type of players that are squad players. They can be good in case we need someone to come in for Kvara every once in a while, but he's not elevating the team, I would say, that much. And I don't think that this is a player that we desperately need at the moment. I mean, we really need a midfielder against Lazio or against Fiorentina. Um, if Cayuste's injury is bad, then we don't have Anguissa, we don't have Cayuste, we don't have Elmas anymore. Zielinski is apparently injured, but to what extent is that a real injury versus is that a Mercato injury? So I don't really know why we're not focusing a bit more on a midfielder. The Sammerzic deal seems to be off, otherwise it would have happened by now. I mean, it's complicated. I would much rather see a midfielder come in, even if it's someone that is not necessarily for the future, but just for 6 months. But yeah, Cayus got suspended anyways, exactly. But the suspension would have been for the game in the Serie A. But because he's injured, he might miss the Super Cup game. So yeah. Um, Orel Mangala is joining Napoli. Is he? I have not heard that. Let me know your source on that. Who will play in the midfield now? Look, I really like Demme. Honestly, like I think he's a very underrated midfielder. When Napoli was doing really bad under Gattuso, he was one of the better players there. Was super unlucky that he got injured in preseason with Spalletti, and Lobotka had an incredible year. But in theory, Demme is a good player. So yeah, let's see if maybe he can play together with Lobotka in this emergency situation. Um, I hope Zielinski leaves. He seems uninterested, says Helcom. I don't know. I don't know to what extent these injuries are true or false. It's hard to say. I think they're pretty much false. And is this the start of Zielinski being transitioned out of the team with having an injury every once in a while and kind of letting him know that, hey man, like your time at the club is done. Either you renew with us or you're gonna rot on the bench. Um, but yeah, um, it's uh, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy that that had to end that way with Zielinski, right? If Napoli didn't win this game, it would have been over. Demme should play instead of Cayuste. Hate to say about my fellow compatriot, but Cayuste is not up for this level of football. Demme contributed much more to the build-up play and just seems more determined. The thing is that Cayuste actually is not a bad player. It's just that he doesn't have the complete package yet. He's kind of a raw diamond still. For example, he would turn very well, and then maybe his final passing wasn't great or his tackling was a bit off, but he just needs to get it composed. He's just not composed yet. I don't know if that's inexperience or not, but definitely I think in this in this situation Napoli needs composed players, players with experience. Demme is so underrated because he is composed. He barely screws up a pass, very rarely. He's good at intercepting, and he was the ex-captain of Leipzig a few years ago, so he's got leadership qualities on the field, and I think that's super underrated. So it's nice to see that Demme got a few minutes, and I would just love to see that a bit more. I even last year I was saying that he should be playing, and we were winning games because I'm a big fan of Demme. Let's get to some more comments. Let's try to pick on some people that maybe didn't get a chance to say much. Justin Giuliano, 3:30 a.m. here. I'm glad I stayed up for this one. Yes, mate. I'm guessing from Australia or New Zealand or something like that. But that's definitely worth it. We won, and that's nice for the players, but it feels like nothing has been fixed. We were quite bad. There is an element of just like there's 20 things to fix, and one of them is this sense of nothing's going right for us, which gets into your head. And I think getting a penalty, scoring the penalty with Ochoa even guessing the right way, then winning in the 96th minute, like I just hope that in the player's head that can help them overcome the mental barrier that things are not going their way, and that can help them win the next few games or at least play better. And this will relieve some pressure, guys, because you have to think that the more we don't win, the more the pressure builds, the more difficult it is to play, the more your legs tremble. And I hope this kind of eases them a little bit. They were able to finally celebrate in front of the crowd. The crowd was with them at the end of the game, so they know they have nothing to worry about when it comes to playing at home. Like I feel like there's so many problems tactically, but and not only tactically on the transfer market, all these things, but like the mental aspect cannot be underestimated. It cannot be underestimated, guys, the mental aspect. And I hope this win really helps. There's nothing better. Win a derby, 96th minute. It's great. Um, Eastern Canada, Paulo. Problem still not fixed, but we enjoy the victory. Exactly, exactly. Guys, do smash the like button. Do smash the like button. Let's see how many of you guys are on at the moment. There's quite a few of you on, and about half of you have smashed the like button. The other half are just chilling. Just got me on full screen, and that's fine. I urge you to make me small screen again, smash the like button, and then go back to full screen because it really does help the channel, and I appreciate you if you do that. Let's see. Jonas says, "Damn, back to work. We'll catch up on this live later. Don't get too excited. Them actually made an impact when subbed in. Yeah, them made an impact because sometimes it's the unlikely heroes that save the day. You know what we think? Matthias, what do we think about Traore? Yeah, I mentioned that he's good. He's good. I don't think he's the priority right now, but hey, fresh blood, always nice to have. I don't think he's immediately ready, which is maybe a bit of a problem. Um, let's see. Yeah, we need a new sporting director. Dom, congrats. Second half, 3-5-2 changed much, gave space to Guevara, but it's tragic. He had more total passes than Lobotka in midfield in general. Demme was good. That was, I think, something that we were saying a lot in the past few games this season. Is like, if we know that Kvara is getting doubled down on the left hand side, why don't we move him more centrally and just let him play a bit more like how he does with Georgia? And maybe from a more central position, it's harder to pick him up. Tears Dom, seeing the fans in the stadium be happy again, they so deserve it. Yes, I love it. I love it. Dom, I just realized they 100% watched your videos last year. You said if Napoli win the Scudetto, Napoli talk is over, so they had to suck this year so we can continue to suffer again. I did say that like a few years ago. I said if we win, then I'm done. But no, how could I? How could I, guys? We need this therapy more than ever. We need this therapy more than ever. Mazzari's worse than Garcia. I hate to say it. Sydney, Australia, mate. Yeah. Is Mazzari worse than Garcia? I think it's hard to say because Mazzari has a more limited team than under Garcia. We objectively have more injuries, the African Cup of Nations, and he's come in a period where like the ball has already been rolling downwards. It's kind of like it's harder to it's harder to do what Mazzari is doing than what Garcia was doing. Garcia was taking a team that was everybody happy, had just won and all that, and all he had to do was maintain the status quo. Mazzari's trying to undo all these errors with their physical preparation, their lack of confidence, the tough fixture list that we had. So it's hard to make a comparison really. But yeah, it's definitely, I can't say which one's better or worse, but I can say that Mazzari didn't bring that much more. So um, yeah. Would another coach have done better? Again, like we never know. Probably, I would say probably, but we don't know. Dom for sporting director, dude. That would be my position. That would be my position. More than like being the coach, I would love to be a sporting director. Anyways, let's go back to the key moments of the game. Let's start with something that happened at the start of the game. In case you missed it or you didn't know, there was a banner that said, "We only want players that have pride, ambition, and respect for the city. If you don't feel like it, then please say goodbye with dignity." To who that was for is up for debate. It could be, well, it never actually says players. It says we want people with. So it could be a message to De Laurentiis. It could be a message to Zielinski. It could be a message to Kvara after his agent said what he said. We don't know, but it's a very generic message saying like, guys, like, happy for you to whoever you are, happy for you to walk if you're not willing to fight. And these players fought. So yeah. Anyways, let's go with the goal because not much happened in the first 30 minutes. To be honest, it was just a bit mid, and nothing crazy. I think we were actually playing the ball vertically a bit more, like through the middle, but then there was just a real lack of quality when it comes to turning and finding the next pass, or we would play the ball vertically, but then immediately pass it back. So there was a lack of ideas and combinations. But then we get to this point here where the goal happened, where a cross comes in, Cayus fails to clear it properly. The ball is at the edge of the box, and then Salernitana um, play this pass here where Politano's coming to press, but there's two players there. The first one kind of blocks off Politano a little bit, which allows Candreva time to control the ball and get past Politano. It probably would have been easier for Politano had that first player not been there. And then, as you can see from this picture, Golini here is really blinded by the light. and you can see it in other angles a bit better, but you can see that he's squinting, maybe even going like this, um, and he basically doesn't see this ball come in very well. And again, we talk about the details and luck and all these things, but Golini is literally standing in the only place on the field where the sun is shining right in his eye. Um, Whether or not he was effectively blinded, I don't know, or to what extent he was blinded, I don't know. But if he was, like, this is just another little detail that it's like, of course it happens. Of course it's happening to us. So yeah. That's Gaetano. Yeah. Is that Gaetano? No, that's Politano. Pretty sure that was Politano. But it could, I don't know. Maybe it's Gaetano. It's hard to see from my little screen here. But anyways, Candreva shoots. Speaking of Politano, this is for sure Politano. There was a lot of this image here just shows the lack of, I think, mental clarity that these players had in, especially in the first half. And there was a real switch between the first and second half on the quality of the shots that we were taking. In the first half, all of them were just these like lashes of the ball. Just, just shoot for the sake of shooting. Very, very little composure. And it goes back to what I said 10 minutes ago, which is Demme came on and he had composure. And I think this is what this Napoli team is lacking. And it's partly because the results are not coming. People are losing their composure. And this Politano finish here is a perfect example. But there was this, and there were two or three others in the first half where, oh my God, like zero composure. So that's something that I wanted to highlight. What I did like compared to the Torino game was that when we did have a crossing opportunity, we did have people get into the box. Here you see four people in the box, Politano and Kvara on the outside. You've got Cayus, De Rui, all these guys in there. And it shows, obviously, that we were committing men forward, but it's also clear that we were doing that because we were 1-0 behind. And actually, this wasn't very effective because the crosses that were coming in just lacked a lot of quality. There was never a very clean cross for one of our players. It's something that we need to improve on massively. We need to improve the quality of our crossing. And then a decisive moment in the game. Here, Simeone gets kicked behind the leg. This is a gift given from the heavens, man, because in my opinion here, Simeone, regardless of this touch that he has from the back, I don't think he would have done anything with this ball. So it wouldn't have led to anything, and instead it led to a penalty. So this was a great piece of luck by Napoli, which Politano managed to convert into a goal. And Politano, he didn't see the goalkeeper move. He was just looking down at the ball. Just concentrate on the shot that he had to take. Didn't try to do anything fancy. Just pick a corner, boom, go for it. And Ochoa was very close to saving this. He dived early. And yeah, he was very, very close. And just think of what would have happened mentally to the Napoli players had Politano missed this. I think from a mental point of view, it would have broken them. It would have actually broken them, and we could have maybe lost this game 3-4-0. I don't think that we would have been able to score again had we not scored from this penalty. That's how much I believe in like momentum and the mental aspect of football, in my opinion. So that's that. The second half starts, and in the second half we see much better shooting. Now that we've scored a goal finally after 4 games, we see that Napoli is way more composed. This shot from Cayust is a great example. So close, but also the other ones that we take, they're all on target. Maybe, they need to be better shots to score, but at least we're not doing something completely random. So there was an improvement in mentality after that goal. And there was also a difference in formation. So whether you want to call it a 3-5-2 or something else, but essentially, if you just disregard the numbers, what we had was a situation where um, Rahmani was staying a bit further back. Lobotka was sandwiched in between Juan Jesus and Di Lorenzo, so they were kind of playing almost three at the back there, with Rahmani a bit of a libero behind them, with Rahmani also having the license to go forward, so literally playing a libero, like a free defender almost, where at times he was behind, at times he was further forward, and we saw that during the game he would maybe even go up for a cross at times. Interestingly, we had Kvara and Kayust in the middle. So Kvara playing in a more central position. And then on the flanks, we had Di Lorenzo, we had Politano on the right, Mario Rui on the left, and in the middle we had Joe Simeone, and then at this moment it's Gaetano, and later on Raspadori playing in attack, with basically the midfielder Gaetano making runs to be that second striker. And this is basically to help Joe Simeone, because Mario Rui and Politano keep the Salernitana players wide. The extra midfielder coming in takes a defender off of Joe Simeone, and then it allows Kvara to be in a new position, which is hard for Salernitana to gang up on, because when Kvara had the ball in a more midfield central area, if he were to get double marked, it would have to be from probably one of the defenders, which would then free either Gaetano, Raspadori, Simeone, one of these guys. So it was something new that we saw today, which is interesting. Um, I think maybe it's a solution that we can bring forward. I think from this position, Kvara was more effective than in other games. And, you know, it can be a way to alternate every once in a while. You can even play 10 minutes like this and 10 minutes on the left with Kvara. Kvara was playing as a cam after Raspadori came in, but this is even before Raspadori. Like, this is with Gaetano on the field. So it was a way to approach the second half, and we need quality players in the middle. We're lacking that, and Kvara has now this role where it's a bit more similar to what he plays with Georgia, which is he's just able to roam a little bit more on the field, exactly like it is in the national team. So let's see. Let's see what this brings for Napoli. I like him in this position, and I like him to be able to move around a bit more, because Kvara needs to be where the ball is and where the space is. So he shouldn't be in a cage in a single position. He's the type of player, a bit like Messi, that he needs to be where his mind says he should be. Like, you gotta trust. Gotta trust these guys. They understand how to play. Right. Speaking of Kvara, this was a crossing situation, a corner. He gets the ball into the box and he forces Ochoa into a good save. But again, it's a good shot. It's difficult with all those bodies, but you can see a bit more composure. We're hitting the target in the second half. It's a much better showing. And he has this chance here. He has this moment here where he lights up the game. Like, he makes a situation here out of nothing, gets past two players, cuts inside, and then here he's got four players around him, takes a shot, and it gets deflected and goes slightly wide. But Kvara in the second half was doing things. When people say he plays bad, there are games where I criticized him that he played bad. I don't think today he played bad. I think today he was maybe unlucky not to score, and he was the only one that was, doing something with the ball. This is another situation again with Kvara. See, he's at the center of all the things that Napoli did in the second half. Kvara here playing a 1-2 with Zerbin. Great movement again from a more central kind of position. Zerbin passing it with his back heel, showing a bit of skill, and then Kvara here, takes the shot. Could he have done a better job? Yes, but it's I'm always I don't want to criticize players too hard when they created the chance for themselves. Like this was Kvara's 1-2. This was his movement. This was his ability to find that pocket of space. So if we're gonna criticize him for the missed chance and maybe the fact that the shot was a bit weird, to be honest, the technique that he used, we should also praise the how well he did to create this chance. Would you like to have Insigne as a left wing and Kvara as a cam? Um, Look, Insigne in his prime, always a good player, but it was clear that his time was gone for Napoli. He stayed one season extra than he should. So I mean, at this point, like Insigne is an ex-player, right? Stuck in the MLS, and yeah, let's let's not go back there, right? Guevara's shooting is poor. Yeah, he needs to improve that a little bit. As much as he scored last season, I think he's got so much room for improvement. And that's something that will come, I believe, because he's too good to remain at this level, if you get what I mean. He's too good he shows too much talent for this to be his ceiling. I think he can be way more consistent with his talent. I don't know if that made any sense, but I think most of you guys got what I mean by that. Um, so yeah, let's move on then to the goal. 96th minute, guys. Cross comes in from Raspadori, sub number one. This cross is not too good because actually, if you think about it, if you really look at this, it's Ochoa and the Salernitana player that are crashing into each other. So there's a lack of communication between Salernitana players where it makes it that they can't clear the ball. Ochoa is not able to capture the ball. It goes out towards away from goal, but not far enough. It stays in the box. And then look at Dem's jump, guys. This is a player who apparently is not match fit. Apparently, blah blah blah. And yet, look at this jump that he has. This desire. This guy jumps, wins the ball against a much taller player, gives it to Rachmani, and then Rachmani has the composure to stop the ball, turn, shoot, and score. And the second half, guys, for me is all about composure. Like, how easy would it have been for Rachmani to just, when he sees this ball come, start to panic and just immediately take the shot? How easy could that have been? And then maybe this would have gone over the crossbar. And we've seen this happen before. Do you guys remember Napoli Lazio when Lindstrom came on and he had that chance in Napoli Lazio at the final minute in a corner to win the game, and then the ball bounces in front of him and boom, he takes it first time and the ball goes over the crossbar. And the difference between scoring a goal and not is just about understanding that you have that 1 second to maybe control the ball and shoot, turn, really pick a spot. And this Napoli team showed a lot of composure in the second half, in my opinion. And that's a positive that I want to take from this game. And by the way, thinking of Lindstrom, how different could his Napoli career have been had he scored that goal against Lazio in a very similar situation to this, where the game is, there's points up for grabs. Last minute, and you just got to show more composure. But yeah, this was the moment where then all the Napoli players went to celebrate. I mean, look what it means to them. Everybody celebrating Kvara on the ground. I love it. Dragmani takes his shirt off, goes and celebrates with the fans. The fans are all there. This is, as much as I hate the running track around the San Paulo, the Maradona, because it brings the fans away from the players. I love it when they go and they run across the racing track, and they run towards the players, and it gives time for the crowd to like come rushing down the steps, because no one wants to sit at the bottom because you can't see anything, it's too low. So everybody just kind of avoids the first 5 rows, and then whenever Napoli scores, you just see this crowd coming down. Guys, the crowd must have been incredible. Must have been incredible at that point. If Kvara would be allowed to play everywhere, it would be much more difficult for defense players to block him, says Irakli. Yes, exactly. Kvara should be a free man. Give Kvara the freedom, and and it will be much better for Napoli. Mike X Dad, thank you, man, for the donation. Says Forza Napoli sempre. Of course, Forza Napoli sempre. Dem's jump brings the win. Rachmani scored at last minute, and Napoli with the player show they really wanted this win. Exactly, blue line. And what I liked is that it came from the three subs. It came from Raspadori's cross, Dem's header, um, and Zerbin wasn't involved, but Zerbin would have been involved in a goal had Kvara scored 2 minutes earlier. So really, the three subs made good contributions, and also it came from a guy like Rachmani, who was suffering with poor performances and criticism in the last few weeks, including from myself. But again, composure. Can Mazzocchi play defensive mid? Not really, not really. Um, but yeah, do you think Kvara should play on number 10? I do think that Kvara should play, depending on the match, depending on what you need, should be able to switch between left and middle. But to do that, it means that Napoli has to be a team that has fluidity, and to have that, you need players that also can then compensate, and you need specific players for a team that moves and switches so much. You need very flexible players. So yeah, it was great. It was great, this goal. Out of context, but Bellingham is overrated in my opinion. Now Bellingham is so good, man. He's so good. Um, so yeah, I really like Bellingham, guys. Is he is he the best player in the world? I don't know. That there's no one this year that has really impressed me, to be honest. Like, if you were to say, would you prefer Haaland last year versus Bellingham this year? I would say Haaland last year was better. But this year, no one has been playing better than Bellingham. So he's probably going to win the Ballon d'Or. But let's wait to see what the Euros say, because if the Euros he plays badly and England get knocked out in the group stages, maybe that will affect his performances. If he manages to bring England to a European final, then probably he would probably win it. Harry Kane. Mm, yeah, he's been scoring a lot of goals. In fact, I think he's on record to beat the Bayern Munich record for most goals in a season. At least that's what it was a few weeks ago, like his pace. Um, let's see. Let's see what he's able to do. I feel like with Bayern, you need to win the Champions League to be considered, and even then, like it's just If Ribery couldn't win it when and Lewandowski couldn't win it when Bayern played so well and had been winning, then I do wonder what a Bayern Munich player needs to do to win the Ballon d'Or. Whereas if you play for Real Madrid or Barcelona, or Man City, I feel like it's a bit easier to win it just because of the publicity that those teams get is slightly higher. Dom, what if we win the Champions League this year? Okay, should I continue reading this comment? Okay, let's do it. What if we win the Champions League this year? You know, sometimes it happens to teams having shitty rankings in national leagues, right? It the last time that a really um, unlikely team won the Champions League, I would say, is probably Liverpool 2005 because they finished that year in fifth place. Other teams that have won the Champions League have always been like in the top two or three of their um, of their league that year in recent years. I think Liverpool fifth place in 2005 is the last time, but even that Liverpool team had some incredible players, right? It had Steven Gerrard, Carragher. It had just won a few years ago the Europa League, which was the UEFA Cup at that time. Um, it had something special, that Liverpool team, and they had a good coach. They had a cup coach. They had Rafa Benitez there, which is something that shouldn't be underestimated. So yeah, Chelsea 2021 and 2012. Chelsea 2021 was still like third, right? Chelsea, let's see, Premier League 2020 to 21 standings. Let's see. Chelsea were fourth. Okay. Chelsea were fourth in that one, which is, and then the 2012 one is the one where they had to sack Villas-Boas and they had to get um, the Italian manager in. So true, that one as well. That one as well. But Chelsea as a team, which they were fourth in the league, but I mean they had some great players. I mean, guys, Chelsea in that season had guys like Jorginho in their prime, Kante, like these are good players, good players. So in 2012 they had Drogba, they had Lampard. Like these are incredible teams. It's not. I don't think it's the same as us. We have some incredible players, but I think those teams were better. I'd like to see a 4-1-2-1-2 with Kvara as center attacking mid. Um, 4-1-2-1-2. Feel like there's a lot of layers there. Um, how about a three? Well, let's go back to what we had here, right? Where was it? Let's go back to this with okay, Rachmani being back there. But imagine a back three of, in this case, it would be Juan Jesus, Rachmani, Di Lorenzo. Then you could say three. Well, I guess a 3-5-2, right? Because then you would have five midfielders. Lobotka as a defensive mid, Kayust and Kvara kind of in the internal midfield roles, Mauro Rui and Politano on the outskirts, and then two attackers, Joe and well, I wouldn't put like an attacker. I would maybe keep like a guy that can play uh, both midfielder and attack, like maybe Gaetano or maybe Raspadori, where you would always be switching with Kvara, and that would create some kind of chaos between teams. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe, or maybe that's the worst idea ever, and we would lose 7-0 every game like that. Um, did you see that last formation from Salernitana after a goal? What was that? No, I didn't see. I don't know. I don't know which one you're talking about. But I would love to see a screenshot of that. If you could sign a player from the Prem, who would you buy? I think Prem midfielders are great because they are box to box. They have physique. Like even Ndombele, right? Who was here last year. Um, as much as he was like a bad player for us, it was because he didn't keep himself fit. But in my head, I could see that if this guy actually cared and if he kept himself fit, he would be like bossing a Serie A midfield. And we saw it with Anguissa actually. Anguissa came in from Fulham and he just bossed the midfield. Just because I think to run the midfield in the Prem is so hard. If I could get a player right now from the Prem, I would love a guy like, well, you guys mentioned Chelsea earlier, so why don't I give you a Chelsea player? Gallagher. Gallagher would be a great addition to this Napoli team. I would love to see that happen. He's young. He's got good athleticism, can attack very well, leadership qualities. So yeah, I would love a guy like that. Obviously, tough to buy from Chelsea, but at some point, Chelsea has to sell some of their players, and they're not going to sell the players that they bought for a lot of money because they need to get a return on that investment. So they might sell maybe one of their more local guys that comes from the academy, such as Gallagher. Um, Madison, I love Madison. Last year he was getting criticized at Leicester City. Also 2 years ago he was getting criticized, and people were like, "Oh, I can't believe Tottenham bought Madison," but he is such a good player, such a good player. Um, Thoughts on Beckenbauer? R.I.P. Yeah, Beckenbauer, guys. I mean, obviously way before my time, but he's one of those players that really changed the game, for everyone as a player, as a coach. Really kind of brought defenders to, I guess, the modern era, and he was maybe one of the first defenders that could actually, play with the ball properly. So, yeah, just an incredible player, and I wish I had time to make videos about some ex-players, and really like talk about their career and their style and all that kind of stuff. That would be amazing. But um, at the same time, it's kind of difficult to do that because this channel is just about Napoli. So, and then I did make a video about an old player, and you guys didn't see it. Let me see if I can find it about this one. When I'll put it in the chat, guys. I'll do some self promotion. Maybe some of you have not seen this video, but it's about the time a Swedish player came to Napoli in the 60s, and it's a very interesting video. Very interesting video. Go watch it. Next after this live. It's only like 10 minutes long. But yeah, I love talking about some of the old glories as well. Anyways, player ratings. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, I would. Dominic Szoboszlai. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Is a legend. I wanted him to come ever since he was at the Red Bull family, man. And then it just got too complicated. But what a player he is, especially for Hungary. Anyways, player ratings, guys. This is what I got. All right. Let me start with the subs because it's easier. But I think they all made a positive impact. They all contributed to creating some chances. Some of them even led to the goal at the end. And they just gave that extra gear for Napoli. They didn't bring too much quality in itself, but just the enthusiasm. So yeah, I really like the subs. What is interesting for me is that Mazzari only used 3 out of the 5 subs. So it's it's such an obvious indication to the club, to De Laurentiis, that hey, I don't have the players that I need to manage the game, because the other two slots that are open, when I look at the bench, I don't see anyone there that can come in and make a positive impact. Like I don't think Lindstrom can make a positive impact. I don't have any other midfielders. I don't think Ostigard is a solution for me. So obviously Oliveira is out. Mazzocchi isn't available. Zanoli apparently is off to Salernitana. They were signing the contract for Salernitana at the stadium, apparently. So it's a clear message to the club from Mazzarri that, hey guys, we need players. We need players. That we are lacking players. This, if you look at the squad list, there were so many players from the academy. So yeah, um, that was that. So yeah, maybe Raspa a little bit less than the others. Maybe deserves a six, but still made an impact, I feel. And I think was better than Gaetano for sure. The midfield, I gave them a less than average score. Remember, six is like, he played average. I gave them a less than average score just because, guys, we're playing against the worst team in the league. We're playing against Salernitana, and I never got the feeling that we were in total control of the game, and I never really got like, if the midfielders cannot create chances for us, then it's a problem. Like Cayuste, Gaetano, Lobotka, like when are they gonna come up and get an assist? God forbid they get us a goal. But every other team in this planet has midfielders that are scoring goals and assisting. And as much as I love a guy like Lobotka, I love Lobotka. What he did last year is incredible today. But my guy, it's easy when you've got Osimhen and Kvara linking up every game, assisting and each other and scoring, and then you don't have to do anything apart from just playing the ball here and there. But when you see that the team is struggling, you as a midfielder have to take more responsibility and you have to try to assist, to score, to do something if you see that your front guys are struggling. It's the same way when the defense is struggling, the midfielders and attackers need to help them out and do a bit more defending. The same thing the opposite way. When our attack is struggling, I want to see more from our midfielders, contribute more actively, more directly, and I just don't get that from the midfielders. Cayuse, I like Cayuse today as well in some parts, but then in other parts he does some things that are just kind of stupid. Like for example, getting a yellow card is so stupid against a team like Salernitana, where you like it was a stupid yellow card. It wasn't even a counter attack. It was the first half. Like to get a yellow card in the first half, like it's just so stupid. You know that you're gonna have to miss the next game, and we already don't have any midfielders. So that's why he kind of gets penalized, and he's missing that final element as well. Obviously, everybody at the back, an average performance. There was nothing that much to do against Salernitana. Obviously, Rachmani gets the winning goal. He gets that +1 compared to the rest of them. And in attack, Politano, cool for the penalty, but very sloppy other times with his shooting. Uh, didn't quite make it happen today, but he showed determination, enthusiasm, and again, it's not easy to score that penalty. Like that was one of the most important penalties of the season, of past seasons actually, and he scored it. Kvara, we saw from the highlights, the second half was just Kvara, and he's the one that we have to kind of move to a new position to try to make something happen. I mean, this team, if we didn't have Kvara, would have zero highlights in this game. So thanks to him, at least we saw something, and it kept us kind of in the game, I would say. Mazzari six. Mazzari, because I expect more from this Napoli team. I expect what he does during the week to lead to something more. Having said that, he made the right substitutions at the right time, and he got us the win at the end. And so you can only really say six, which is bang average. Like you didn't fail, but you didn't impress me. Just average. That's what a six is. I want to see Thiago in Napoli. Yeah, imagine. That's kind of what I mean. Like a guy like Thiago, right? The guy that plays for Liverpool, I assume. We need a bit of that from our midfielder, from Lobotka, like someone that is willing to receive the ball and then burst time it to one of our strikers running into the space, or take a proper shot. And I just don't see that from our midfielders. I want our midfielders to be more um, impactful from a goals and assist point of view, not just, oh, I move the ball around here and there. And Demme came in today, and as unorthodox as it is, he did get the assist. He did, in the box, win the header, gave it to Rahmani, and Rahmani scored. Obviously, that's not exactly what I mean by the assist, because it's not the classic assist from the midfielder, but still, like, it's direct, it's getting yourself in the box. Apart from that opportunity, there were other times when he got himself in the box. So I want to see that a bit more. Kvara gave the ball to Politano when we got the penalty. I think it was, yeah, gave the ball to Politano, but then there was a cross Politano to Simeone, and then it was a penalty. So kind of, yeah. I mean, obviously Kvara was part of the action, but yeah, Kvara did well. I liked Kvara today. Um, Kvara got a necessary yellow card. He needs to relax. That's the problem that we're seeing this year with Kvara, is that he's a bit emotional. He's young. It takes time to kind of control your emotions in a good way and in a bad way. I liked his emotion today because it shows like he was really into the game and he really cared and everything, but at the same time, it was very stupid. Um, yeah, Kvara needs to improve this. Also, if he wants to go to some of those, bigger teams, they look at these kind of details. And there's a saying, guys. There's a saying in Naples, that when the water is calm, everybody is a sailor, right? Which means that obviously when you're winning games and things are going well, then it's easy to be composed and keep your cool and be good at your job. And, everybody can be the captain of the ship when the water's calm. But when the water is wavy, when it's turbulent like it is now, who's going to keep their head? Who's going to perform when the water is wavy, right? And I think this is what the players are kind of experiencing this season, and they need to show that they can compose themselves, and they can. For example, a player that I liked this season is Politano. Politano, when the start of the season, especially with Garcia, was performing very well, even though the team was not. And today he scored the penalty. He was very composed. So yeah, this was not Kvara's worst game. Yeah, it was actually quite. Yeah, it was fine. He doesn't have to score an assist every game. He just has to play well. Um, Going to knock off now, but thank you as always, Dom, for your end of game discussions. Forza Napoli sempre. Great review as always. Well, welcome. Very, very welcome. Let's go to the press conference of Mazzarri. Let's see what he had to say. Last time he was disqualified, so he couldn't do it. Let's see what he says this time. He says, they ask him, have you found your spirit again after winning in the last minute? He says, we also found a little bit of performance as well. Salernitana was well positioned on the field. It wasn't easy. They closed themselves very well, and they are strong in the counterattack. We were penalized because at the first opportunity they had, they scored. but I give my compliments to the players. We were in emergency from a player number point of view, and they did really well. We could have played a bit more vertically, but Gaetano, this was his first game as a starter, and Cayuse will become important, but he still has to adapt himself to our type of football. So all things considered, I think we were good. We created lots of chances. I liked our possession, even though um, yeah, we didn't always conclude. Compared to Torino, we were much better. Cayust, I'm very worried. He says it's a muscular problem. Today it was a group win. We were very good in the re-aggression whenever we lost the ball. But these are things that I also saw before, apart from the game against Torino. But today was even better. We conceded very little to Salernitana, and the goal that Candreva scored is one of those that happens once in a blue moon. For the Super Cup, I'm gonna start thinking about it from tonight. First, I needed to think about today's game, and now we can enjoy this victory. In terms of Mercato, I'm not going to say any names. The president and the scouting team are concentrated to bring home the more as good players as possible. Today, the result was fundamental. We were good, even though everything happened around us. We were in a complete emergency from a numbers point of view. We could have scored earlier, as often the case, but the most important thing was seeing the team play football. And we did well to win. Unlike, for example, Torino and against Monza. Regarding Zielinski, he says Zielinski has the doctor has to tell me if he will be available for the Super Cup or not. Cayust, we don't know. And yeah, the team believed until the very end, so I'm happy. Um, we improved a lot from a physical point of view, from remaining in the game from a physical point of view as well. So Mazzarri is saying that this team, from a physical point of view, has improved. We're able to, unlike, for example, with Garcia, where after the 60th minute, it was hard for us to make chances at times. I think with Mazzarri, one thing that we have improved is the fact that we get chances until the very end of the games. And that means that, at least from a physical point of view, this team is better. Dom, who do you think deserves to be captain if not Di Lorenzo? Um, I would say, well, interesting question. So, if you had asked me last year, I would have said Di Lorenzo, Mario Rui, then Zielinski. Um, this year, obviously, Mario Rui is still there. I would like to give the captain's armband to someone that maybe can keep it for the next few years. I don't know how long Mario Rui has with Napoli. I know he signed a contract, but he's kind of on the older side. But that's kind of the problem, right? I don't see anyone apart from Di Lorenzo being captain material. Obviously, you can't really give it to Zielinski. He's off to Inter soon. But I don't know, because Osimhen and Kvara are still quite emotional at times, and you don't want that from a captain. Politano, I don't want to build a team around Politano. He's playing well, but I still believe fundamentally he's not the level that Napoli needs. So then if we go into our midfield, Lobotka, he doesn't he doesn't strike me as someone that will like you know lift other people up. Um, the other midfielders that we have, either they don't strike like Anguissa could be a good captain in the days that he tries hard. I feel like he would be a respected captain, but he too often doesn't try hard enough. Gaetano's too young. Cayuste is too young. Uh, it's tough. The defenders, I don't see them having a lot of future with the club. Honestly, I hope not. As much as I'm grateful for Rachmani scoring today, I don't know if that's the type of player Napoli should build the next 3 or 4 years on. And I would give the captain's armband to someone that I would give to the next 3 or 4 years. So yeah, that's kind of the problem. Like at this moment, there's no one, and the goalkeeper as well. Meret is too inconsistent, too criticized at times by the fans to be able to do that. What is this? What is going on here? What is that? Okay. I need a haircut, guys. But yeah. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know. The GOAT Maidorui. I guess at this point, process of elimination Maidorui. But again, I hope we could have someone that is like 27, 28 that we could give it to, but there's no one that really fits uh, that kind of thing for Napoli at the moment. Maybe that's a problem. Jesus would have been a good captain, but he's not a good footballer. Exactly. My man, gotta run. Great show as always. Forza Napoli sempre. Solo la maglia. Difendo la città. Unica fede. Says Napoli Nation TV. My man, hope you enjoyed the game. Guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it there as well. It's been incredibly fun with you guys as always. Guys, before you log off and do your own thing, remember to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't. You've made it this far. Do me this humongous favor if you haven't. And guys, I will see you for the next video, whatever the case may be. We never know in this Napoli world. And also, if we don't see each other for some random reason, that comes up, then it's probably going to be for the Super Cup game, which is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. All right, guys, that's it. Have a good weekend and Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.